is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave, on the Township website, and posted on the bulletin boards of Township Hall.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad?
Here.
Councilmember Perry?
Here.
Councilmember Simonson?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Here.
Mayor Beck?
Here. Okay, we have a lot of work here tonight, but before we begin the work session, John and Kathy Louderback, please step forward so we can hoist some laurels up upon you and your store there. It's where I get my stuff a lot of times. I live about a block from there. And this is at the request of Councilman Conrad. And we have a proclamation. And this is what we have here. It says, whereas, although Geis's Market has been in existence since 1928, John and Kathy Louderback bought the Lower Township business in 1990. Whereas they have previously won many local and regional competitions for their award-winning pork products, including bacon, ham, and sausages. We can all attest to that. And whereas this is the first year they have entered an international competition and were judged by the premier judging body in the world, the German Butchers Association and the IFFA. And whereas Geis's Market Kielbasa earned 50 points out of 50 for the gold medal standard, and their hot dogs earned 47 points for a silver medal. Now therefore, I, Mayor Michael E. Beck, and the Lower Township Council do hereby congratulate John and Kathy Louderback and their Lower Township business, Geis's Market, on their outstanding achievement. We thank both John and Kathy for their continued involvement locally, volunteering on our boards and commissions, and their outstanding commitment to our community. We wish them well on their upcoming trip to Frankfurt, Germany to accept their award, and are proud and honored to call them Lower Township locals. You've done a phenomenal job, but I mean, we could probably give you this award every year for something different. You've been involved so much. Kathy, I know you're still the president of the Lower Township Chamber of Commerce, and John, you're active with the Fishing Creek School and now, the Foster House and everything else under the sun. You've been basically exemplary citizens, and your involvement is more than appreciated. I think that there'd be a hole if we didn't have you guys involved. So we're going to come down. Tom, you got a few words to say?
The funny thing is, as I read the article, and I want to thank Chris South for writing the article and tipping us off about this, because you guys are so quiet about this. You beat the drum for the township and all the different township events, but you say nothing about yourselves sometimes. And Chris brought forth the article, Mr. South, about you guys winning this. And the funny thing is, I read the one little quote from you, Kathy. It says, we thought they were going to tell us how bad we were. Kathy, if you see the word Geis's Own, you know that's a high-quality product, and it's very good. As anybody here that ever ate any of your food, I mean, John and I were just talking about the smokers, the grillers. Everybody loves them if you like spicy food. And you guys, international. We knew you were good, but not how good. And this is, it's almost like somebody winning Miss America almost for us. Sorry, John, had to throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm used to it now.
You are the example of what we want our residents to be, and how you don't know how proud we are of you. Congratulations.
I'm sure we're going to see movie stars and the like coming to Geis's Meat Market from now on, just to sample the hot dogs. So, and take care of your regular customers, John. Push them to the side. Okay. Just stay there. If council would join me, we'd come down and. music, come on up here with us so that you can hold your little presentation. Just turn around, face the, well, you gotta face the camera.
Yeah. Back up. Thank you.
Samples? No, we went through the trouble of giving you, can you figure out how to do it?
I have to admit, they have given out samples.
Everybody tells me. Yeah. Give it cheese and stuff.
Speech. I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, we move down to the work session. Manager Jim Ridgway. We have the CFO Lauren Reed and Auditor Leon Costello, a regular.
Mayor, are you going to open the budget hearing?
Yes. Go ahead, we open the budget hearing. Is that what you need to hear?
Yes.
Okay, it's opened.
Thank you.
Okay.
Council comments?
Well, I'd like to hear, where are we at with this as far as from, we're good to go, right?
Yes, this is the same budget that you introduced, no
Right.
change to it. It's no tax increase. You're well within the spending cap and the levy cap. And tonight is officially the public hearing, which at what time, once you ask for a motion to open it to the public, where they can make comments, ask questions, which we'll be more than happy to field the questions for you. And after the public hearing's closed, then someone would make a motion to adopt the budget or make a motion to amend the budget. And we'll proceed from there. So it's the same one you introduced.
Right.
There's not been one change, not one change has been asked for, and it does not have a tax increase.
Okay. Council comments? Round the horn.
Real quick. Thank you.
Well, I like the zero, which is obvious.
A nice round number.
Nice round number. Well, I'd rather see a negative if I could, but I don't know that we'll ever see that. But I just don't like using MUA money, using ratepayer money to pay taxes. Been consistent with that since day one, and I'll remain consistent with that. Anybody else on council wish to speak?
Yeah, I'll second that. I think it's wonderful that we don't have a tax increase, especially in an election year, right? So as we've
That's a cynical statement there, Deputy Mayor.
as we've said repeatedly with great emphasis, we wanted to keep the ratepayer money in one bucket and the taxpayer money in another. It's we don't like robbing Peter to pay Paul. In this case, robbing the ratepayer to help the taxpayer. What we ought to do is save as much money as we can at the MUA and then give that back to the ratepayers down the road. So we've said that repeatedly. We said it last year. We just don't think this is the best way to go about doing our finances.
And I'd like to thank the MUA for the money, because if you were at the meeting last week, Mike Chapman, the executive director, gave a clear and decisive list of things that we're going to be shared with our public works and with the township that will definitely, they'll get their money's worth back. And we're working together, two entities, to save everybody money, whether they're taxpayers or ratepayers. Are doing a great job. Thank you.
Okay, is there any public comments on the budget? Yes, sir.
John Skorowski, 607 Arctic Ave. I just once again want to tell you that I oppose using the MUA money in the budget. I don't think it's fair to the ratepayers, and I don't think it makes it harder for you to make budget cuts when you know you're going to get some extra money from the MUA. Have you made any major budget cuts in the budget?
Well, I think our main savings, Jim, if you want to answer, it's up to you, but the main savings was within the healthcare.
We switched it
Okay,
over to state health.
so how much did that save?
We would have had to put an additional 400,000. We would have had to put an additional 400,000 in this budget had
So
we stayed.
so without that, you're looking, that's about a penny on.
About a penny.
Yes. So that's basically where the bulk of the savings that were generated.
All right, well, I just want to let you know I oppose using the MUA money,
Thank you.
and thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to comment on the budget? Close the public portion.
This is resolution number 2016-73. Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Lower, County of Cape May, that the budget hereinbefore set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations, and authorization of the amount of $20,086,897.94.
Motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
No.
Mayor Beck?
No. Move down to consent agenda. Is there any council comments on the consent agenda?
Okay. Should we scoop?
Open up for public comments on the consent agenda? Yes, sir.
I'd like to comment on Resolution 201680 about the extra money needed to work on the beach access. You're going to, as I understand it, the study done by Hatch was 22 million.
22,000.
I'm sorry, 22,000. And then to buy the material to do the work, it was another 20-some thousand dollars. Now, is that additional material cost, is that what you're going to vote on in this resolution? Because I thought that was going to be voted on separately.
That,
No, I believe that is the cost of, the mayor and the deputy mayor asked for a presentation to be done.
Right.
And for the engineering firm to put that presentation together, the PowerPoint presentation,
Handout.
and all the data that went with it, and the handouts and so on and so forth, that's what that is.
So what is the total amount of this resolution? Is it 3,956 plus the material cost?
No.
Is that what you're
No.
passing?
No, it's $3,956, and that was, again, that was for
Yeah,
the engineering
okay.
firm to put together the PowerPoint presentation and the data that went with it and handouts.
and it also
Okay.
includes they had to design handicap parking at New York Avenue. It also includes the additional design for that.
Yeah, but I just was questioning whether it included the material cost.
No, there's no, other than the handouts.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Is there any other comments on the consent agenda? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Robert Rizzo, Mickles Run. I'd like to ask you about 2016-75. Is that an every year appropriation, or is that just this year? It seems like a lot of money.
That's, I believe, in every year, it changes. There's a formula used to decide how much each municipality gives. Actually, manager, treasurer might be able to have a better answer. But we have to contribute, since we don't have our own shelter, we pay the county to take the animals and go from there.
Okay, that's the animal shelter plus the fees.
Yes.
And that fee did go up this year proportionately or percentage-wise higher than in the past few years. And
What's it rated on, Mr. Ridgway? The number of animals that we send to the shelter, or the number of people we have? How do they figure it out? Maybe Lauren could answer that. Do you know, Lauren? or-
I'm not sure.
The agreement is based on the
on-
number of animals sent to the shelter by municipality.
In other words, the more we send, the more we pay.
Yep.
Well, we'll have to be careful about how many we send then. You know,
We'll take them to your house,
I was just
Bob.
going to say that.
not
yeah,
to
with
my
something over
house,
there.
but I mean, we got to be after the people that are picking up these animals and sending them to that's a lot of money. $100 and some thousand. Thank you.
Is there any other comments on the consent agenda? All right, close the public portion.
Approval of the New Jersey State Firemen's applications. Christopher Parcell for the Villas Volunteer Fire Company, Brian Cassidy, John Mateo, Timothy Molina, Eric Nelson, and Jeremy Patterson for the Irma Volunteer Fire Company. Approval of the minutes, February 17th, 2016, and resolutions number 2016-74 through 2016-85.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Move down to administrative reports. Move down to council comments.
I'm going to defer for right now. I'm trying to get my notes together.
Okay, I have something, after our last meeting, I was quite taken back, I guess you could say, on some of the comments that were made at the meeting, and quite frankly, I was quite disturbed, quite upset about it. At our February 17th council meeting, Deputy Mayor Clark made a statement that awarding contracts and bids by township employees were not being done properly, and read a paper that he said he downloaded from the state New Jersey website. After a few days of digesting the remarks, in my opinion, I found these remarks irresponsible, and I feel that he doesn't have any idea how government in New Jersey works. As a certified public manager, and I was a department head for over 27 years, I know how local government is required to award contracts, bids, and make purchases. I have to say there was times as a department I felt that these rules and practices were being unfair. But as I learned through the years, these rules were put into place for the betterment of local government and for good of the taxpayers. I know that Lower Township has a great group of professionals. They are in fact doing the right thing. They are following the rules, best practices, and regulations that they are required to follow. Since I have been on council, the township purchasing agent, CFO, and all the personnel in the treasurer's office have done an outstanding job and should be commended for their hard work and not made subject to ridicule or harassment from council members or for anyone for doing the job that the way they were trained and are required to do. Under the direction of Lower Township Manager Jim Ridgway, there are no more backroom deals being made on the telephone with vendors or professional services contract like the ones that were made in past administration. All contracts, bids, and purchases are directed through the treasurer's office as they are supposed to be. I feel Mr. Clark and Mr. Beck owe the treasurer's office and all the department heads in Lower Township an apology for their actions and comments that they made at the February 17th council meeting. In my opinion, this has been bad politics.
Okay, thank you. One of the, there were two reasons that we brought up last time that we wanted to move forward with an independent review of what's been going on here in Lower Township. One of them was simply to allay the fears and some of the people that have been here and to look at what we've done in the past. And the other one is to prevent this, where we're playing badminton up here, where we're swinging at each other. And that's got to stop. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you feel that there was things done in the other years that needed to be looked at, have them looked at. That's what we said at the last meeting. That's what was voted unanimously, that we would reach out and at least look for somebody who might do this. It's easy. We could sit here. I can counter what he said. And here we go with another fist fight up here. Here we go with another verbal argument. Bring in somebody from the outside to look at it, from top to bottom, not for last year, for the last 8 years, and then guide us through. Okay, now what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? All right, a review from an independent person. I have no problem with that. And you know, again, One of the reasons that we did that was to stop this. If you went back and looked at all the meetings since last October, we've had meetings lasting, this topic, we have like beat each other up here. It's like a Civil War battlefield. We keep coming back to the same place, shooting each other and leaving with nothing getting done. Get somebody in here to look at it. I'm not criticizing anybody. I said at the last meeting that it's quite possibly the lack of direction from council that could be the main stumbling block. And I can point out things and say, this is what I feel, which was initiated by other people. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to play anymore up here. I asked for and was supported 5-0 for somebody to come from the outside and take a look at what we have done and to find out from council what they want to do. I don't think that's a lot to ask because we've had people at the microphone. As I said, last October, we had a business leader got up. And go back and look at, you people that are sitting here clapping, go back and look at the October 15th meeting on YouTube and go to about an hour in and watch the gentleman that gets up and talks about the bidding process. And he wasn't the only one that night that talked about it. Now, we said nothing that night. I said nothing. Did not support what he said or anything. I waited to go through what we went through since then for a couple months. Maybe it was council's fault. I'm not blaming anybody inside any of the, but I can point out the things that bothered me within that. And to the point is, we have an obligation to make sure that when we spend money on contracts for this township, we're doing the best that we can for the township residents who pay the tax, who pay the bills. And that's what we're asking for.
And Mayor, that's why we're going into closed session to.
But I didn't bring this up.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up.
I could swear that you did.
Discuss this in closed.
Absolutely, that's why I'm not cutting loose now, because I've got all the stuff I need to say for closed session. I'm not going to air it out here anymore. Okay, we had to last time in order to achieve what we got, which was a vote to move forward just to look at this process. Not asking for anything else. I'm not laying blame at anybody's door, but somewhere along the line, there's problems in the system. There's no doubt about that.
Mayor, I feel like I should say a word. I'm like you, I was hoping to put this to bed. That was the reason we all unanimously decided to bring in somebody else to give us a little therapy. But the fact of the matter is, the context of this was, number one, we've been fighting over these things, as the mayor said. Number two, one of the members of council accused what we were doing as, quote, a no-bid contract, and we had to get a memo saying that that wasn't correct to say that, make that statement. Thirdly, we had just had a councilman asking for a review of 8 years' worth of our professional service contracts. So it was in that context, all I did was to acknowledge that we have differences. And then, rather than make any personal statements, I simply got the state comptroller's document on, quote, best practices for awarding service contracts, and read it. I read the first page explaining why it is that something like this is so important. And it clearly says, because there are no laws pertaining to, or very few laws pertaining to professional service contracts, it's really important to have good best practices. I just read it. And then I said, you know, let's continue on with the review that one of the councilmen suggested we have, but bring in somebody from the outside that's neutral, that has an experience. Let's call the League of Municipalities and get a little guidance. That's all. So let's lay it to rest. Let's bring in somebody, do what we said we were going to do.
We're on council comments, and,
Yep.
and if you have anything else, Dave, if not, then we'll go to Eric, because we have to move on.
Well, while you're looking at the 8 years of contracts, you can check out all the meetings over the last 8 years, because I find it hypocritical that you can sit up here and talk about diversity when, you know, we've been the master of it up here, fighting, spinning things just in order to fight, and the only person making it a battlefield has been sitting right there in the middle. So, and along with that, I think that when, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but I did read also, I don't think, Deputy Mayor, I don't think you read it closely enough, the comptroller Boxer, because it says right in there, one of the important things that it does state is that a government unit's award of a contract for services is oftentimes determined by judging what proposal best meets the government unit's overall needs. Where price is just one of the factors in a situation where quality of service is important. A single-minded focus on price is unwarranted. Thus, a selection of a vendor through competitive proposals can involve many considerations besides price, such as technical capability, management capability, prior experience, and past performance. I find that very important, especially in this project that was brought up. But I move on anyway. Just got to read things a little closer when we look them up. I wanted to thank the prosecutor's office for coming down this past week and giving an in-depth presentation to our 7th and 8th graders on drugs, heroin, pills, also sexting and social media. These are problems that aren't going to be solved by one entity, and I appreciate the prosecutor's office pitching in, and working with, obviously we have Cape Assist, our police department, all these different organizations that work together, and it was very well done, and it is appreciated. Also met with a concerned citizen and the engineer from the MUA looking over plans for the Spicers Creek Wissahickon project. I did want to thank the MUA. I got a call last week from Keith Lauderman and was praising the MUA on the job they did there on Skellinger's Landing. It was done on time, under budget, and it was done very professionally. They move on. We're trying to get this Wissahickon project, which, if anyone has noticed, on the northern and southern side of the canal, right at the end of Route 109, they're losing about 3 to 4 feet of erosion a year. But of course, just like our bayside, it gets overlooked because the shoreline always gets top priority. So this is something I did look over the blueprints for the project. As they run the pipes, they're also going to backfill and take care of that erosion problem. But right now, it's on hold because of the last storm, Jonas, and the priorities that they feel are more important. So we're going to write some letters, call some people, and put some pressure on them to hopefully get that project done before these people that live on both sides of the canal lose any more land. Other than that, I'll let the mayor take over with the details, but make sure everybody gets out and supports our Run for the Fallen benefit that Eileen has worked so hard on, as she does every year, this Saturday over at the Bolero in Wildwood. Let the mayor give the times and so on. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Simonson, thank you for underscoring in your remarks the very part that I read when
You're welcome.
I made the very points that you underscored, and I thank you for echoing those. Okay, we are undertaking a really important initiative called the Delaware Bayshore Council. We're going to have our 5th meeting on Wednesday. This has representatives from all of the towns along the bay, both in Cape May and Cumberland County. This, again, you remember, is where we joined hands with all these other towns that were concerned about beach preservation and supporting the economic value of our Delaware Bay region. And so we figured that the whole was greater than the sum of its parts. We figured that it was important to join hands and work together on all of these initiatives and help each other out. And we're now going into our 5th meeting. And as you may have read in the paper, we're undertaking some big issues. There's issues between aquaculture, issues between the environmentalists, and we were able to have a great meeting at the request of Senator Van Drew with about 20 people, 6 layers of government, and able to reach some understanding and advancement in terms of the issues of the environment as well as our economic viability along the Bay Shore. So that'll be, again, Wednesday, the 5th meeting over in Dennis Township at 2 o'clock. And I'm hoping the manager can join us again, as he always does.
Okay, the Run for the Fallen Beef and Beer is Saturday, March 12th, 2016. Eileen's running that. It's 6 to 10 p.m. at the Bolero Resort, 3320 Atlantic Avenue, Wildwood. All proceeds are used to cover the expenses of the run and provide support for our military runners, Gold Star family members, and support teams. I can't think of a better organization as far as that goes to honor those who have fallen in defense of our country, those people, those of us who have gone over to Sunset Beach when the Gold Star mothers come down. It's heartbreaking. So anybody that can, even if you can't go, if you could get a ticket, that would be kind of nice too. So with that, we'll open it up.
I deferred. I didn't say I wasn't talking. I just deferred to get my notes together. If you don't-
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. I know you didn't want to hear this, but at our last meeting, Deputy Mayor Clark made the statement that Lower Township is awarding contracts wrong, and our employees may not be following the recommended best practice issued by the state. I wrote this last Friday, by the way, the 23rd, right after the meeting. He was supported by our mayor. This was their personal opinions, not the position of this council. First, let me state that no current employee of this township has done anything wrong concerning our bids or how we award professional service contracts. We are audited every year, and every bid and contract is reviewed by the auditor. Not only is that completed audit supplied to every member of council who signs off that they have received and reviewed it, it is available to the public. We have received a clean audit every year from the time before I was on council, which is a big hats off to our treasurer. It is wrong for a sitting member of council to continue to question our employees and their actions that were directed by council, especially when they are doing their jobs correctly. They are trained, certified, and/or licensed, following state and federal regulations and laws, unlike some that may not have taken the classes offered to educate elected officials on these matters. For him to say they did wrong and should be fired when he should know better, possibly for a soundbite or quote in the paper, is pitiful, especially after a stellar year in operations by our employees, supervisors, and department heads, which helped bring this township to a zero tax increase. The mayor not only agreed with the deputy mayor, but went further in asking for council to possibly hire an outside agency to review all the issues that he sees without naming specifics. We did vote to have the solicitor research what options are out there for this, and we will be talking about that at closed session. After thinking about this and what I have just stated, I am against any past review of our bidding. This is not because I am afraid of what they may find, but because it would be a waste of taxpayer money to do so, as any problems would have been found in any of our audits. I am in agreement that council should have a work session, but to review how council decides to put out certain projects and if a threshold should be put in place for any professional service contracts on projects and possibly putting them out for an RFQ or RFP, as I suggested before. Could we have done things differently last year? Yes. But in trying to appease certain people, we put out a bid for an ongoing project, which didn't need to be bid and definitely not twice. It seems that the mayor no longer likes our engineering firm, even though he is the reason they were originally hired. He also put them on the Roseanne project to start with, and he reappointed them as the township engineer when we had to terminate our in-house township engineer. I voted to keep them last year as they are doing a very good job and are upfront with their cost. This helps in budgeting. Last year, for the first time, we did put out an RFQ for special project engineers, but certain people found this confusing. Even though we had stated that all that would have to be done was any member of council could say in an open public meeting that they thought any project was special, none did. Last October, the clerk put out an email asking any member of council if they wanted to put out an RFQ or RFP for any of our professional service contracts for 2016, which would include engineering. 3 members of council replied, yet the 2 that did not are now questioning why are we not putting more contracts out to bid. We have a township engineer, the same firm for almost 7 years. 2 members of council did not even request we put engineering out to bid, yet voted against retaining them. What was the option then? Not have a township engineer? If we were going to bid every small project, why do we have a township engineer? If we did that, every small project would take longer to accomplish, bidding takes time, not 2 weeks, and would end up costing the township taxpayers more money. But then what projects were actually accomplished or started from 2009 to 2014? Other than fixing potholes, what infrastructure has been repaired or replaced? This township is moving forward. We need to work to make this township a better, safer place for all of our residents, where we are bringing people together, not dividing and trying to cause conflict. Now, 2015 was a very good year for both the township and the Lower Township MUA. We both hired new executives that are not only taking care of the daily business of each entity, but looking into the future. Mr. Ridgway, thank you for all you have done, are doing, but also your continued support and encouragement of all of our employees. all to make this a better township for all. As to the MUA, they hired Mike Chapman. Anyone that's gone to their meetings has noticed there's a big difference down there in how it's run. He is their new executive director, and from what I've seen and heard, I'm so far impressed. Plans are being made and finalized to repair their infrastructure while still concentrating on the service given to the residents of this township. Most have heard of the MUA's Villas East project, which is to be starting soon. Mr. Chapman announced a new to this area USDA grant loan for eligible seniors and low-income households north of Falling Mill Road, that project area. This grant or loan will be for up to $7,500 and cover not only the hookup, but the plumbing and plumber's fees. And if you get the grant, that means you're not paying it back. The MUA will be providing more information as they get it and are looking to find people to help fill out the applications for those applying, because they are some difficult applications. This is taking care of your ratepayers. Good luck to you, Mr. Chapman, and the MUA. I also got to review the coastal resiliency maps as they came in with Mr. Galestock and Joe from EDA, and those have all, it's looking good for that, but they also forwarded them to Dr. Farrell to help with our appeal with the VE zones. So hopefully this is all tying in. We're doing a lot of good things, and I want to thank everyone that's helped. Thank you.
You probably think I'm going to bite and
Nope.
counter, and I'm not. But if the papers, after the closed session, if the papers want to give me a call tomorrow, I'll be glad to refute quite a bit of that.
Go for it.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I'm agreeing. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, it's senseless. Does anybody else wish to address council? Yes, sir.
Call to the public?
Yes.
Two things. I've been coming to township meetings since 2009. I haven't missed many of them. And I've seen where contracts were made and bids weren't done. And I think it was through the fault of the council members. I don't blame the people working for the town, but the direction of the council members in not always getting bids for contracts. That's number one. Number two, what's the latest status on the Cape May County taking over the police building, the public service building? What's the latest on that? We haven't heard anything in several months.
As far as the timetable,
Yeah, what's going on right now?
well, what's going on is we're looking at immediately after Labor Day, the building will be vacated other than the police. The police are going to move to the south end of the building, while the north and a portion of the south is being renovated. And when I say a portion of it, the new dispatch is going to be in the south section. And so they're retrofitting the north section and a section of the south. And the police will be working in approximately 20,000 square feet instead of 46,000 square feet for maybe 9 to 12 months till the project is complete. Saying that, the court is moving to where you're standing right now. We will be running court in the fall, right here. And to accommodate that, we've had to make some moves, and we've been working to get the building next door ready for our construction office, so they can go over there sometime late April, early May. We also have the fire safety department that has to move out of the airport. The fire safety department is going into the back of the recreation center, where there's 2 offices and a conference room, for the period it'll take to get their area done. And we're trying to finalize the move now for rescue. That is not completely done yet, but there are certain options. We have some, for example, the Villas Fire Company is going to work with us to house certain vehicles, but their transformation won't take as long as the other area because there isn't as much change to where they are and where they're going to be. There's a meeting this week, Thursday. The county is again coming down to discuss the timetable for dispatch, because that is a shared service that we're doing with the county, and there's a lot of discussion that's still going on. But as far as the timetable, et cetera, it looks like they're going out to bond in June, the county themselves, and most of the construction, I'd say, will be in effect in the fall.
Who is the contact between the township and the county on this project and how it's going?
There's a few people, but I would say with regards to the most important person with the county that we're dealing with is Jim Arsenal, who is the attorney for the county, and Mr. Stefankowitz. They've been going back and forth as far as the legalese. Then Anne Marie McMahon is really the design person for the project.
Well,
And
you know,
then she has a team. There's an engineer that works with her. The engineering company, I'm not familiar with because, again, that's going to be on the county, not on us.
it sounds like you might be the contact for the township since all the information you just gave us on what's happening. So they must be keeping you in the loop of what's going on.
Well, things change almost every 2 weeks, so I'm trying to give you the latest.
Okay.
And if anything, we're trying to move it up rather than delay it, because we see some savings there of substantial dollars the sooner we complete the project.
Okay, thanks for all that info. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Anybody else wish to address council? Yes.
Frank Sirocco, Lower Township. I read in the paper that the airport is going to open up 2 new businesses, 2 companies. And one of them, from what I understand, is going to be manufacturing drones. Now, isn't that illegal to have drones in an airport?
I happened to run into Freeholder Maury the other night, and he said he was interested to come to council. I've been inviting him to come and give a report on what's happening with regards to unmanned aircraft. You can call them drones. You better call them unmanned aircraft.
Okay. Okay.
But I know that a lot of citizens have been concerned, and that's why I reached out to Freeholder Maury, who I think is playing point on that, and he's indicated that he would come and give us a report.
Okay. Well, my understanding is that they're going to have this thing. They're going to manufacture drones. They're going to have to test them, and that's an airport.
Yeah, but I
And
mean,
it's
this has been
illegal to
something.
have drones in an airport.
Well, they're
Yeah, they've
building
been
a
running
runway
this for
for
a
them
long
now,
time,
right now.
Frank.
I was
Doesn't
over there
matter.
Saturday. They're building it, right now there's a runway under construction.
Philadelphia Airport, they had a drone come down the runway.
That's personal drones. This is going to be actually government or stuff. This is being designed for this.
It wasn't mentioned
Yeah,
whether
well-
it was going to be civilian or military.
Well, frankly, there's a lot of people that are over there that are involved, and I mean, I'm sure we're going to find out when.
I'd really like to encourage the manager to reach out to the freeholders and give us a report. I mean, we need to hear what the plans are so we know fact from fiction.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wish to address council?
All the way in the back.
All the way in the back?
Hi, Gary Douglas, President of Lower Township Supervisors Union. I didn't attend the last meeting, but after hearing from a couple of people, you know, I should watch the tape. I did that. And I was kind of shocked at some of the comments that were made, so I went back and being as the Roseanne Avenue project was brought up, I went back to the original meeting in October when quotes came back, well, lack of quotes, and you got no proposals. And then it went back out and I watched the November 2nd meeting where 2 incomplete proposals were turned in and 1 complete. And, you know, me being one of them, but 2 employees of the supervisors union sat, answered questions and everything. And then I watched the last meeting. And I just got a few things to say. We won't badger on it. But 3.5 months later, we hear comments from you, Mayor, about comments about a sloppy bidding process. It's not about the lowest bidder, but who gets the job. Lost confidence in our bidding process. You made mention to people in the business community up here. There were circumstances that I don't think anybody asked when them comments were made, but there were circumstances on them bids also. But the remarks were, you know, insinuating, you know, back to the November 2nd meeting that the evaluation of the proposals were misleading. Having professionals come down and evaluate our process. We are professionals. We are certified by the state. We are educated. We continue to get education on these aspects. And then the main comment is why I get up here. And then it comments, if this was a private company, people would be fired. It's very damaging comment in my book. And I believe these are all comments on your evaluating of employee performance, which is a direct violation of the Rice Notice. And to my knowledge, any of the affected employees that I believe them comments were made to or about did not receive a Rice Notice. So I'll just end with, you know, you've gave the public a perception of wrongdoing and misleading statements by employees that we were trained in and educated in them fields to give our educated opinion, our experience on those proposals. And I just don't think that was the right project to bring up, other than whether it's because it's an election year or you have a beef with the engineering firm, but it wasn't fair to the employees. So you've left us with no choice. We will seek legal advice and action if necessary. But the last comment, you go, we're losing confidence in the business community. Well, unfortunately, you lost our confidence in you from the employees. Thank you.
I know.
If I may, just briefly,
You don't want me to say anything.
I just want to caution council with regards to responding to the comments that were just made. This is a personnel matter. There was a potential of litigation involved as well. I think it's better suited to be
I have a
discussed
lot
in
to
closed
say,
session.
so I'll say nothing. Because I'd like to respond to that, and I'm sorry if somebody's feelings are hurt, but, you know, quite frankly, I look out for the taxpayers too. And that was one of the reasons it wasn't listed in there, that maybe I did this. Just maybe, just perhaps, I'm serious about trying to save money for the taxpayers. And maybe it just bothers me that in Lower Township, you can get the heck beat out of you for not taking the highest bid. Okay?
Only bid. Let's be honest about this. No, you're going to go and attack and start at that and try to put a spin on it.
Well,
The fact
they
is,
were not-
you were wrong.
No, the fact of the matter is, that was, and we're getting into something I know you don't want.
I think we're better suited to discuss them on council as a whole in
Alright.
closed session.
But
since
the
they're all
bottom
questions.
line is, my purpose in this is one and one only, and that is to make sure that the taxpayers get what's expected, both in the confidence in the system, but also in the economics.
We'll agree to disagree.
Okay, we will agree to disagree. But again, like I reiterated to the papers, we're going into a closed session, and I'll be available tomorrow. Okay,
So will we.
sure, go for it. It's always fun that way. And then, and, you know, whatever. Anybody else?
Make sure we get both sides of the story.
This gentleman here wishes to address council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Bill Tyrrell. I am the husband of a property owner in Lower Township. Two comments that I hope you'll accept in a positive vein. The first of which has to do with your taxes. I'm delighted, having served 8 terms as a member of a council like this in a different state. I'm delighted that the tax rate is not going up. We found it very expedient on many occasions to point out to people that if your taxes are based on your assessed land value and the rate stays the same, your value goes up, you will see a tax increase. That said, I commend you on not raising the taxes from the standpoint of increasing the rate. Second point, again, is not only as a member of a council, but as a planning commissioner, member of a board of zoning appeals, and an architecture review board for a number of years, I commend your efforts on the restoration, if you will, of the entryways to the Bayside shoreline. I understand that project is moving. The property that my spouse is an owner of is right at Washington and Beach, and there's an entry right there. I commend you for what you're doing. It's the right thing to do, both from the standpoint of access, safety, litigation, having read that there's yet another, or heard that yet there's another lawsuit pending. It's the right thing to do from the standpoint of doing your jobs and the township's job, maintaining the beachfront. I commend you for that and hope that the project goes smoothly for everyone concerned. I would note, though, that there is part of the beach that the Property Owners Association deals with. The township might do well to perhaps chat with the Property Owners Association to see if there is some way that the entire beachfront can be handled properly in the context of the contract that you're dealing with. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else wishes to address council? This guy here.
George Doherty, Seashore Road. I wanted to address something. I haven't heard anything about this, but we've had a problem in Middle Township, of course, with the dump motels. Now, to keep that, you know, that girl that died and everything, to keep that from happening in Lower Township, do we have any laws if any of our hotels decide to start doing that? Like,
Well-
is there 24-hour surveillance system? Is there a special mercantile license which
Right.
may cost more? And rules that no prisoners from other state, you know, the state jail, no prisoners from other counties. They're actually bringing people down from North Jersey now. I
Right.
mean,
We've
Yeah.
had, I mean, you call it the Sweetbriar Wars, you could go back about 10 years.
I remember the Sweetbriar still.
Yeah,
It's
and,
gotten better from what I heard, but I don't know.
Well, we have had, we keep an eye on it, okay? And there has not been a real problem coming out of there, okay? It's not called that anymore, but the new motel and the new owner seems to be acting responsibly, and there hasn't been the level of problems in any way, shape, or form that we had, and we do keep an eye out.
But shouldn't we make laws about it instead
You
of just
can't
having
make-
them comply? Can we have
well, so first of all,
24-hour surveillance is mandatory?
There are certain things you can do. Like, for instance, when the Sweetbriar was running hot and heavy, and I got involved with the Attorney General at the state level, trying to get a deal where we could record check people that were being placed there. And the end result was that they wouldn't even talk to me about that. It's civil liberties, et cetera, et cetera. It can't work. The reality of it is, I think that most of and we had this discussion at the mayor's luncheon last week. And I think most mayors in the areas of concern, which would involve, say, Wildwood, Middle, here, there has to be a solution that goes to some kind of a creation of a place at some point in time, that where people that are homeless have the ability to go to and not be put into these motels.
Well, can we just make some municipal
You
laws?
can't pass a municipal law.
Well, if somebody wants to fight it, then let them fight it, but at
Well,
least they can stop
you
it
can't-
for a short
you
time.
can't do that. You
We
can't
may
do it.
only have short time, limitations, but-
You're sitting back and you're working with the legality of it, and the whole system is controlled at social services. And the information is unavailable. You wouldn't even know who in that motel, and rightfully so, there's certain things. The vast majority of people that seek placement are there, and they're there legitimately, and they mean no problem. It only takes a couple, and that is the issue. And even the people that were in those places that are there legitimately are penalized by the people that are acting up. But the bulk of the problems are not in Lower Township right now. And there is a move to try and see if we can't, at some point in time, get together and maybe have the county and try and find a long-range solution to this. Okay.
If we can find any, local ways of making it more stringent rules about it,
Right. Well, we did, and I think Eric put that.
Yeah, the last meeting, we passed a resolution, which was originally passed by the Cape May County League of Municipalities. They found out that Atlantic County, their homeless shelter, and all the services that go along with it had contracts with Ocean County and Cumberland County, but we did not have a contract with them. Since we don't have a facility like that in Cape May County, we passed a resolution, and then we backed it last meeting to.
I think tonight, wasn't it? Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, well, tonight, but we talked about putting it on last, yeah. So we passed it to have a contract with Atlantic County as well to send people up there. They get job training and all the services that they need there, because we don't have an in-house. Maybe that's something down the road that I know people are lobbying for, but at this point, that's
They
the
have it
fir-
already, let's just use
that's the
theirs.
first
We'll
step.
put them there and we'll pay the money,
George, the problem with the resolution we passed tonight is that the people aren't going to go. They're not going, you can't, my experience, and I had significant when I was in the city as a police lieutenant, the people that are homeless are not going to go and get on and go to Atlantic City. They're going to, there's a lot of reasons that people are homeless. A lot of times it has to do with, the mental problem, or it has to do with substance abuse, things like that. And you need to have something that's in the area, and at some point in time, hopefully that will occur.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd rather have if there's shelters, I'd rather have them up there. They're already in use.
Well,
It's just, I think that.
they're people,
If they need
George.
a hand, they will go there.
It's not
Yeah.
a simple solution system.
I know that.
It's a first step, is what it
It's
is.
complex, and the point of it is that they are people, and they are our people, a lot of them, and we need to take care of them the best we can, but a lot of them do have certain problems.
And the motel that you spoke about, I know that Fabio Paulus bought that because he got tired of looking across the street from his real estate place there, and I had gone down there a couple of years ago even. He showed me that is under surveillance 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
He installed his own camera system, which the police department can also access, so.
Now, does he
Now
have
that's
just Section 8, or does he have
No.
also the prisoners from the jail?
Well,
or just?
we don't know.
We don't,
We don't
that's
know. I
a
don't know.
business thing, but he
A lot
is
of
very
that's
strict on who
confidential.
stays there. He has rules he does enforce.
Yeah, that's good. It should be, mandatory, I think, is the way he's running it. It should be made a mandatory thing for year-round ones, if they're going to do that, so. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Does anybody else wish to address council?
Yeah, Bill Greenfield, Willis. What land acquisition's going to be discussed? I didn't hear that. Can you say? Or?
That's in negotiations, that's why it's closed session.
Oh, so you can't even say what the property is, or? Okay.
At this juncture, we cannot. It's still in negotiations, so
Okay.
it's got to
All
be
right,
discussed in
thanks.
closed session.
Anybody else wish to address council?
Ray Flickinger, 1700 Washington Boulevard, North Cape May. I also want to say that fully support the decision to improve the walkways down to the Delaware Bay. And what's nice, it's been not only at North Cape May area, it goes all the way up through the villas and all, where I'm sure there's improvement a lot that I don't see. I'm a frequent walker down to Douglas Park, and I was wondering if there's going to be any improvements there, because as you enter going there, the roadway is getting pretty narrow because of dunes coming onto the roadway. And there's a bend going in there. Me and my wife many times walk there, when the trees start and shrubs start to get blooming on there, you can't see, and the cars can't see you coming by. I've noticed along the road on Beach Drive in different areas, they have share the road signs. Ever since the ferry has their traffic coming out on that roadway, I thought it would be important to put at least a sign on the way into Douglas Park, and then where the exit coming out from the ferry going out to Lincoln to go up to 9, a sign put there. Also, the road is really starting to deteriorate. It's breaking up. It's getting heavier traffic than it used to years ago. Hopefully you can consider, I don't know if the Delaware Port Authority or anybody is doing anything to improve that road, since they're using it a lot more.
I believe the DRBA is in, and I'm sure Mr. Ridgway could further inform us, but I was under the understanding that they were going to put a walkway in there, like a walk or jog path, to make it, safer for people to use that. And I know I use it quite frequently myself, and it's getting pretty bad. It's actually, by the week, it gets more narrow. And
Yeah, it's getting narrower, and the road's breaking up quite a bit more. I mean, it's been winter time and all, but it was breaking up last summer. But I mean, I see the buses, they come in, from the ferry, traffic and all, they go out that way. So it is putting, a lot of stress.
they've used that as an exit now, which
Yeah,
wasn't
exit
before.
coming out
Yeah.
that gate. That's why I say if you put a sign there, and you're always
Also-
having more visitors coming in from other states and all, to let them know, share the road with the people. They're bikers and walkers and joggers. Thank you
We'll
very much.
discuss the signage with them. I will discuss the signage with the DRBA, as well as tell you that I was at a meeting about 2 months ago. They are looking at putting a walkway there and some parking, and it looks to be a pretty big project. But in the meantime, I don't see why we couldn't put some signs both ways, because with the summer coming, also, a lot of people now are parking on that road for our concert series. So the traffic is very thick when people are coming in and when that breaks out around 8:15 at night. So we'll look into that.
Yeah, because I say that on your way, because, when you're walking or jogging, you should be facing the traffic. So you come around that bend there, and you just can't see it. And they don't know either.
No.
And the sand keeps on pushing out on the road there, and it makes it very narrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Close the public portion.
Resolution number 2016-86, a resolution providing for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12. This is to discuss possible litigation and possible acquisition of land.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Perry?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.